Maybe we need to go one step further and give him the immunity tiki for 3/4 of the time he was elected for. Let's go to the most crazy extreme of anything we could possibly think of. Let's look at the best year of Obama's theoretical 8-year presidency. This is as good as it gets, even if he's elected for 2 full terms. I mean, really being optimistic, really going for it. This is just the best year. Remember, this is all according to the White House numbers. These are my numbers. Biggest, you want a big slice of hope? That's just the best year. That's it. This again, according to Obama's budget. Think about that for a second. Even if we give Bush full credit for a disastrous year that he wasn't even in office for good measure, we add in Bill Clinton for no other reason. The total combined of these two, still. Hello? Now, maybe sometimes I overgeneralize. Maybe sometimes I say, you know, this stuff has been happening for a long time in both parties. And it has. It has. Both parties stink on ice. The Republicans, suckarama. But so do the Democrats. But we have never seen anything like President Obama, ever. His own budget amounts to a confession. He's admitting that he can't solve our debt problems with the policies even if he gets reelected. How many terms does this guy need to have before the country gets out of the red? 5? How about 12 terms? Would that be enough, Mr. President? Is there any theoretical point in the distant future where the animals like Bambi comes and they're talking to the squirrels and the rabbits and we're not hemorrhaging money? How do you pay for this? President Obama has broken a lot of promises just in his first year. He said he was going to close Gitmo. No. The health care thing. But somehow or another, the magic Republicans kept him from doing that. He said no lobbyists serving in his administration. He's not the only one that has broken promises. George Bush promised to decrease the debt. You remember his father? No new taxes. Read my... Yeah, right. Got it. But what Obama's budget, this is his budget, what it's telling you right now, he is promising to keep us at incredibly high levels of debt throughout his presidency. And believe me, I've watched the politicians, so have you. When they say they're going to spend like crazy, oh, that's a promise they'll keep. But here's another promise I'll make. Because I've watched the politicians in Washington, they always give you the best case scenario. If this is what he's admitting to, how much worse is it actually going to be? We're in California, and I want to tell you why we're in California. We're in California because it's snowing back east. What do you think, I'm nuts? No, we're in California because as California goes, so goes the rest of America. I really truly believe California is in so much trouble, and everybody's just like, oh, California is bankrupt. No. This is something entirely different. They're practically like vampires sucking the blood right out of businessmen that want to try to come into California. Business is fleeing California. They're talking about raising more taxes, more revenue. They're still not cutting. I guarantee you, if I looked, I haven't yet, but I will. Don't challenge me, California. I will. I can guarantee you I can find some stupid SEAL program that they're doing. They still won't cut it. Why in California? Why should we show you this? Because I guarantee you, in time, somebody's going to make the statement, oh, California is too big to fail. And you, sitting at your house, they're going to ask you to bail out California because of that damn SEAL program. No, not me. How can you save the state, and what does it mean to the rest of America? We'll be back in a second.
California facing lots of problems, and everyone is talking about sheep. Not counting sheep, white sheep, or Baba black sheep, but demon sheep. Senate candidate Carly Fiorina sits down with Glenn to explain her plan to save California from evil livestock.
Oh, look how beautiful it is. There it is, the sunny skies of California. And you see, what you can't see there are the streets with the potholes and everything crumbling. The wailing and gnashing of teeth. By the way, we're in California all week, and I have my red phone with me. As you can see, this will do We didn't even plug it in because it's. I don't like being far from my red phone, but I have actually in the studio. Do you have Harry there? Can we show Harry in the studio in New York? There he is. Hi, Harry. Just have him reading up on Mao. You know, that way, in case they call, he's got something to talk to them about. We get something wrong, the administration can call. They have the number to the red phone, and we are manning it. Now, California is important because as California goes, so goes the rest of the country. And California, I think, is sliding into the ocean in two different ways. We wanted to talk to some people who think they have a clue as to, what to do, how to do some CPR, although I thought about bringing Penn Jillette on. Maybe a magician would be able to resuscitate California at this point. Carly Fiorina is running for the Senate. She's a Republican, and she is here now. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Glenn.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm skeptical of every single politician I meet. Every single one of them.
I am too.
Are you?
And I'm not one.
Yeah, well, you're not yet. But have you, can you tell me, first of all, how do you go to Washington and not lose your soul?
Well, I think that's a really important question. And I think you go to Washington and not lose your soul by staying in touch with the people who sent you there. But I've never run for public office before, and our founding fathers intended ours to be a citizen government, by, for, and of the people. Our founding fathers were business people and farmers, and they went to Washington and they left after a while with great relief. And I'm sure if I'm lucky enough to be sent to Washington, I don't want to stay there forever. But things are too dire now. Citizens have to get involved. And as you pointed out, so goes California, so goes the nation, because I see policies being pursued in the nation's capital that are the same policies that got this state into deep trouble.
This state, could you have run Hewlett-Packard from here? Could you have started Hewlett-Packard here?
Well, I did run it for 6 years here in California, and they made it very
today.
difficult.
Could you do it today?
You start it? No. Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard could not start Hewlett-Packard today in California. I started out as a receptionist in a little company called Marcus and Millichap here in California. 9 people. I typed and filed and answered the phones. That company couldn't be started today. I talked to you off the air that I looked at California. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest. I love California. Why? We all love California.
Yeah, but I love California. But I looked at starting, putting my business here. There's no way. There's no way. I'm in Manhattan. Yeah. I can't do business here, because at least occasionally in Manhattan, you'll have somebody that says, hey, by the way, we don't want to suck the blood out of business.
Well, and it's not just the policies here in California. There are also policies that come from Washington. So, for example, this morning I was with a group of business people, a family-owned business. They immigrated, the grandfather immigrated from Italy many years ago. The government, because of the Endangered Species Act, something the Senate overseas, because of the Endangered Species Act, 30 acres of their land was confiscated by the federal government, and they have to pay taxes on. Why? Because we're trying to protect a fly. That's insane.
So, how do you stop this?
Well, I think we have to stop it with 2 very simple but profound things. First, no more money, government, no new taxes on anything. That's why I signed the Taxpayer Protection Pledge. But if your teenager has a spending problem, what do? You cut off the money.
But let me show the. I'm sorry to get you into the shot. Don't worry about it. It's his 5 o'clock show. Is this okay? Stand it. I'm just showing. They show the chalkboard here. Look at this. They'll say, everybody will tell you. Wall Street Journal just, I think, came out. I think it was today. Oh, you got to spend money. You got to have it.
That's why I
got to raise taxes. They say.
Wrong. Because what happens every time we raise taxes, then people in Sacramento or in Washington say, oh, phew, we can put off the discipline and the tough choices necessary to actually cut spending. So first, no new taxes. Secondly, we have to return to the people who create the American dream, innovators, entrepreneurs, small business owners, the ability to actually run their businesses, and we're killing that today. And third, we actually have to cut spending. Cut it. Not freeze it.
What are you going to cut?
Well, let's start with the fact that in President Obama's budget, federal government employees are growing by 14.5%. Those are more bureaucrats to do more things. Let's start with the fact that there are many bipartisan estimates that suggest that there's $500 billion worth of waste in the federal budget today. The GAO estimates that half of the purchases on government credit cards are for waste or fraudulent purposes. You know, lingerie, jewelry. I mean, that's our money. That's our money. Or
the people at the dealer.
Well, exactly.
And
or the census ad that you just referenced. I mean, $2.5 million is real money.
Yeah, but I understand that. But here's the problem. We have. Go back and read. I just read it last night. Calvin Coolidge and his his inaugural speech. Okay, he knew what the problem was. The problem was the progressives. The problem in Washington are the progressives. The problem in California, the progressives, and the progressives in the Democrat and the Republican Party. Until somebody stands up and says, you know what, John McCain and Barack Obama had many of the same traits.
Well, and let's start with the most fundamental. You know, one of the things that you have done so well and so many other citizens across this great nation have done, and they're here in California too, where voters say the #1 issue is jobs and out-of-control government spending.